What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be reading some ghost stories off of Reddit, so let's not waste any more time and get right into it. This first one's called Chill Down My Spine in a Cemetery. My mother died just over 2 weeks ago. Since she was put in hospice care a few months ago, my father, who I live with, has been very angry with me all the time, flying off the handle at everything I say and do. While she was in hospice care, he was constantly putting me down, and that pattern of behavior has continued after her passing. My brother, who is very impressionable, has been copying his behavior over the last few days and has taken his grief out on me in forms of anger and put downs. Yeah, when people are going through a hard time, especially when someone passes away, they don't know, a lot of people don't know how to process how do they feel. They might point fingers at people instinctually and internally. So that's why he's probably lashing out. The father's probably lashing out at the person who posted this and also the brother, which is really sad because I mean, in times like that, everyone should be coming together, not pointing fingers at random family members just because someone passed away. So that's pretty sad that they're going through that. I was feeling so alone, so I took myself to the old cemetery nearby. I went to the plot where I have one great grandfather buried and one great grandmother interred. I don't know what that means. It's a weird word. I've never heard of that. A great great grandfather buried and a great 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 grandmother buried. I have a lot of family there. I don't know where my grandparents are buried. They're buried. Well, one of them's buried in Mexico, I think. Never seen him. And then all my other grandparents are still alive. But my great grandparents do not know anything about them. It's pretty sad, honestly. Two great uncles entered. I don't know what that means. I should probably look that up. And one great 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 grandfather buried. These relatives, among others, are buried and entered at the cemetery across two plots. There is a monument headstone in the middle of each plot. There are tiles surrounding each monument headstone and a small low fence surrounding each plot. I climbed over the fence and stood on the tile and told my ancestors who I was and how I was related to all of them. I told them my mom's name and when she died. I also mentioned how she was related to them. I was crying and told them all about how much I miss her and how upset I was how my father and brother were behaving. I went into detail about everything to do with my father and my brother's treatment of me. I apologized as if I was disturbing my relatives and told them my intentions were not to disrespect them. Do you got something to say, sir? Go ahead. Say it. Go ahead. My cat's in here, so he's just gonna be hanging out with me for the rest of the video. No, don't make that. I told him I don't have any friends and I didn't know where else to go in the city to find comfort. That's honestly really fucking sad. You're like when you have family members treating you like that and then you don't have any friends. That's really sad. I feel really bad for this person. Holy shit. I felt somewhat comforted and calmer while I was speaking to them. I don't know how long I was there for. It may have been closer to an hour. About 10 minutes or so of speaking, I felt a really cold chill on my back, and it stayed with me until I left the cemetery. At one point, while standing and talking to my ancestors, I felt like I was going to gag. I also felt like I was being told politely to leave after a while. Was that chill on my back a sign of my ancestors could hear me? They all died before I was born, but most of them haven't been alive in the 19th century. Honestly, I don't. Maybe. I mean, I always hear when there's like ghosts around or spirits that the temperature drops and people get chills and it gets kind of cold. But honestly, I think this person was just feeling a whole lot of emotions and stuff and just letting a whole lot off their chest. And I mean, I've heard people say that they've cried so much that they wanted to throw up. So they're just probably going through an episode, like a mental episode. This story is honestly way more sad than scary, and I feel really bad for this person. So I'm just gonna let this one slide because it didn't have that much to do with ghosts or anything. I thought it would, but I just feel really bad for this person. They were just fucking going through it. Holy shit. Let's move on to the next one. This next one's called Me and My Friend Both Saw a Ghost for the First Time when I was 14. Hi, I'm 22 and from the UK. I had a very spooky experience when I was 14. I was visiting a friend's house and we were walking to a shop. It was about 9 p.m. in winter, so it was dark. In her town, it has a church/cemetery which is lit by street lights. We were just walking down the street, minding our own business, when something pulled us to look at the cemetery. We never took any notice to the cemetery before that. We both glanced over at the same time and just saw a man standing there. He was tall, wearing a long trench coat with a boat or top hat, styled hat, and holding a large briefcase. But he was a silhouette and just standing looking back our way. We thought nothing of it until we both glanced away for no more than 1 second and looked back. He was gone, disappeared. What makes this weird is there was absolutely no turning he could have taken. Just a straight, perfectly lit path. There's obviously no logical way he could have just disappeared like that. We both turned to each other like, that was really weird. Anyways, but I remember it so clearly. I don't remember a lot of ghosts I've seen in a clear appearance, but this one just stuck with me. He also looked way too old timey to be out and about in this day and age. It was a really freaky experience, and one that made me fully believe in ghosts. I had a drawing of him, but unfortunately can't link it here. Let me know what you think of this experience. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What I think is crazy about living in the UK specifically is like there's so many dated places there. Like there's so many places that are hundreds of years old. In America, I mean, we do have our buildings and parts of cities and towns and stuff that are hundreds of years old, but it is only like a couple hundred, like 200. I mean, we just hit 250 years of being in America. Even then, some of our infrastructure isn't even that old if you think about it, because it was like wilderness for so long. There was only like little cabins and shit like that for so long. In the UK, there was buildings before like America was even thought of, before like anyone sailed over here. So I think it's absolutely insane, like the history that they have there, because there's just so much shit like that. Like some kid from like 200 years after someone had died is like seeing the ghost of that person that died like 200 years prior. And I think that's absolutely insane about the UK. But they probably did see a ghost, honestly. I mean, if they're there for that long and shit, just lingering, they're probably going to manifest at some point. But yeah, let's move on to the next one. This next one's called Daytime Ghost. So I'm a plumber in New Hampshire, and I have been working with this old mill building from the 1800s in Portsmouth. The way the building's entrance was laid out was that you enter the sidewalk through a large pair of glass doors, walk through a small entryway to another large pair of glass doors. You can see into the lobby through both doors and have a perfect visual of the elevator from the street. I'm walking into the building with one of the company apprentices. As we open the first set of doors, we see a woman standing at the elevator. And as we walk through the entryway, the elevator doors open, and she stepped inside. By the time we entered the main lobby, the elevator doors closed, and I thought to myself, well, I guess I'll have to wait for the elevator. So we got to the elevator, and I pressed the button, and the doors immediately opened, and there was no one inside. For context, the elevator was notorious on this job for being the slowest elevator anyone had ever used. So there was no way. It went to another floor and back. It took us to cross the lobby. So I guess he's saying like he crossed the door, like he went through both set of double doors, right? He saw somebody get in the elevator like across the lobby, which I don't know, maybe like 30, 40 feet, 30 to 50 feet, somewhere around there. The lady went in, went up, and then the elevator came back down when he called it. So I mean, it doesn't even say which floor she went to, and then he says it was slow, so it could have been nobody in there. I don't know. That's really odd. Let's keep reading this. I probably have written the whole thing off, but as we stepped inside, the doors closed. The apprentice said, "Huh? I could have swore I saw somebody get on the elevator." I've always been really wishy-washy about ghosts. Like I had some weird experiences in my childhood, but always wrote them off. And if you asked me before if I believed in ghosts, I would have said, "Yeah, they might exist. No more of that." Man, this was two people seeing the same thing, and the traffic layout outside makes it highly unlikely that this is a reflection from outside. I'm sorry, these three stories have been super super short, but the next one is like really long, so it'll make up for this. But maybe he did see a ghost, or maybe the elevator just happened to be working really good that day, because that's insane for it to just like take somebody up and then could just come back down immediately. So he may have seen a ghost. The lady may have just pressed the button. The ghost lady may have like pressed the button to get in, got in, and then just like disappeared, which is really insane. But yeah, let's move on to the next one. Okay, this next one's called Appalachian Haunted House. In 2018, my family and I went on vacation. We are from Ohio, so obviously we took a 17-hour drive to Orlando. 17 hours is fucking insane. I've gone across country for trips, 12-hour trips. I mean, I haven't driven them, but my dad used to have us take 12-hour trips. And yeah, 17 hours, I don't know what I would be doing. 12 hours is already pushing it. 17 is fucking insane. The European mind cannot comprehend us just casually traveling 17 hours across our own country just to go to another state. It's pretty fucking insane. But Florida isn't where the haunting happened. It was on our way back when we stopped in Cunningham, LOL, Georgia. Cunningham, Georgia. My parents rented a house, and after spending a day in Atlanta, we were all ready to go back and relax. We pulled up to the house. It's hidden with a dense area of woods, so we couldn't really see the driveway. My dad decided to back up into the driveway when he had to slam on his brakes. The driveway was a steep 45-degree angle. The house loomed over us, making the SUV look like a toy car. It wasn't a mansion, just a tall, white, eerie building. I was just ready to get out of the clown car with all 7 of us packed in tight with the luggage. We all collected our bags to drag into the house. My dad was entering the code of the front door. Carrying enough luggage to make it in one trip, I walked to the entrance. My dad is just standing completely still in the doorway. Once again, I didn't give a fuck and just pushed my way past him. ready to see, Ready to set my bags down. Eventually, we all got inside and had a fight to take a piss. Dude, I like the amount of detail they're putting into it because I've been on trips like this with my family and we don't pause in between, but just the whole I'm ready to get out of this fuck. And then me and my brothers are really tall, and growing up, even in high school, we were pretty tall. And my dad would shove me and my other brother, which were the tallest at the time, in the way like in the third seat of the Suburban, the third row, and we were so crammed back there, and it would just suck. And we'd have to take a piss, and he's like, "No, we're not stopping." And it's like, dude, we gotta take a piss. It's been like 6 hours. Yeah, this is just hitting home all the way. This is pretty funny for me. I won and was the first to go to this downstairs bathroom. At this point, it was the only one we had seen because it was right when we walked into the front door. Let me tell you, I was glad I was already in the toilet, or else I would have peed myself from fear of just being in there. I couldn't have been any faster than what I was. The enclosed room was a different level from unnerving. As I was washing my hands, I could not look in the mirror because I knew if I did, there would be more than just me staring back. I've had weird feelings like that too, where I'm at somebody else's house, like I'm visiting or something, or like maybe I've stayed in an Airbnb or something, and I'm just like, I don't want to look in the mirror. I don't know why. I'd never got a weird feeling before that. And we also, in high school, I used to also remodel houses with my dad, and I would get really weird feelings of just don't look in the mirror, don't look in the mirror, and I never did. It was just really odd, and like the whole house, the rest of the house didn't give me any weird feelings. Just that, I don't know. It was just really fucking odd. My family and I make our way back upstairs to claim our bedrooms. It was burning hot. There were 2 rooms to the right, one to the left next to the full bathroom, and finally the master bedroom at the end of the hall. I entered the first room on the right. The bed was made like a cleaning crew had just recently been there, but there were ashes lying on the divot. Once again, the hair on the back of my neck stood up. I left and met my sisters in the room across the hall, and I remember looking at the clean bed and saying, "My bed has ashes on it, come look." Nobody wanted to look. I was the only person who went in the first bedroom on the right. That night we ordered takeout and ate at the house. My mom, my sister Jess, and I decided to eat out on the back deck, which I'll admit was creepy within and of itself. Since we were on such a slanted hill, we were being held up by stilts. Even though Mom and I are terrified of heights, we'd rather be outside. It's worth noting that at this point, nobody had acknowledged what we've all separately been feeling. Anyway, on the deck after we finished our food, we went to open the sliding door to get back in the house. It was locked. We started banging on the door, and eventually my dad came over to open it. We all thought he did it to fuck with us, but he swore and still does that he didn't touch it. By bedtime, my siblings and I all collectively agreed to sleep in the living room. I don't even remember it being a conversation. I just know we all decided to sleep downstairs of our own volition. I was on the futon that shared a wall with the downstairs bathroom. Haley, my sister, was next to me on the ground in front of the fireplace. Jess was on the couch in front of the TV, and Brooke and Aaron were on the floor in front of the TV, all 3 towards my feet. There was a man standing at my feet, a tall, dark figure, leaning over to me, watching, and I couldn't sleep. I spent most of the night squeezing my eyes shut, forcing myself to stay close to the wall, back towards the rest of the room. Behind my back was a smaller, less demanding figure. They watched me all night. Jesus Christ, it sounds like they may have had sleep paralysis because they just couldn't, I guess out of fear they weren't moving, or a combination of both. But at no point did they say like, "Oh, I fell asleep and then woke back up." That's freaky as fuck. That's scary as shit, honestly. I wonder what area in Georgia they were. I think they said Cunningham or something like that. But I'm not too familiar with the area, so they said it was in Appalachia, so it's like a wooded area. Ooh. So yeah, it might be a fucking some ghosts. That's scary as shit. The next morning I heard footsteps on the stairs of the basement. No, fuck that. The door to the basement had a lock. The lights were being turned on and off, and I could say with 100% certainty that there was a man walking up and down the creepy steps. I told my mom. She made my dad check the perimeter of the house. There was no way in outside of the front door or back door. It was impossible for someone to have entered without us seeing them. That morning, my mom had made my shower. I could admit I was rinked, but I was scared shitless of the upstairs bathroom. The bathroom had the most demonic presence in the whole house. While I was in the shower, the lights turned off. I could feel something watching me bathe. Fuck that, dude. Literally everyone has had that fear of you just watched a scary movie or a scary YouTube video, and you're having to go shower, and you're like, well, here comes the worst part. You fucking shampoo, you close your eyes, and you just start seeing a bunch of fucked up shit in the darkness that is like your closed eyes. Yeah, fuck that. But this is on a whole nother level. It was perverted and petrifying. I took the fastest shower of my life and got the hell out of Dodge. When I walked past the bathroom, I could feel something standing in the dark, and it made my chest sink. That morning, I joined my mom in the master bathroom to get ready, in a roundabout way, saying there was something watching me. My mom stopped in the middle of curling her hair when I said that and asked why. I didn't think she believed me, so I didn't say. Right after that conversation, she went and looked in the dark walk in closet on the other side of the bathroom. A few things scattered throughout the day that are worth mentioning. 1. My necklace I had bought the day before was set on the kitchen counter. It was missing, and my family thought I had just misplaced it and lost it. We all looked for it, but nothing came up. The next morning, it was back in the spot it went missing the day before. 2. The whole house was handicap accessible, with pulleys and such, especially in the master bedroom. Family debrief. We finally leave the house and get to the next stop, Columbus. When we are all called into the room of our hotel by my dad, my parents are sat down very serious. I figured I'm probably in trouble or something and braced myself. They started talking about the house. My dad starts off with, I didn't want to scare you guys when we were down there, but then he dives into what my parents experienced. When my dad paused in the doorframe, he said he saw an old woman in a wheelchair. When my mom went to the downstairs bathroom after me, she was scared shitless. My mom would run past the upstairs bathroom without looking because of the demonic presence. Then the next day, watched it open on its own. When my mom checked out the closet in the bathroom, there was something in there. The night we spent there, my parents had the windows open. It was early March and the temperature was in the 40s. They were sweating like it was 150 degrees in there, and it didn't matter what they did, they were burning up. The room smelled like rotten eggs. Jesus Christ. So whatever was in there was like, this is hell. It's going to be hot as shit and it's going to smell like ass. And if you've never smelled sulfur, if you've never smelled rotten eggs, it smells like sulfur, and that smells like shit. It literally smells like, I think our body does produce sulfur when you're like farting, or if you're having like really bad diarrhea, or just like a really bad bowel movement. So yeah, literally smells like shit, and it's hot. Jesus Christ. Now to my siblings and my experience. Brooke woke up to a whisper in her ear. Swapped places with my brother Aaron and went back to bed. Then she woke up again to another whisper and a spider on her pillow. That's fucking no. You got me fucked up. Obviously freaking out, she went and slept in my parents' room, where she was absolutely freezing. More than 40 degrees freezing, but obviously shivering. So she was cold, but they were hot? That's what the fuck? That's insane. Haley said she saw a man standing over me all night. So the sister saw what the OP saw the first night when they were asleep. So this is some scary shit. This family went through some stuff. They better have gotten a discount on the. I'm pretty sure it was an Airbnb, because you got me fucked up. I started reporting them like, hey, you guys are renting out a fucking possessed house and shit. Jessica said she did too, and so did Brooke. This was before I told them anything. They saw him too, which just confirmed my fears. Haley said she slept facing me because she knew it was there. Every single one of us would not go into the upstairs bathroom if we could help it. We all collectively verified the haunting in there without one of us talking about it prior. That's fucking crazy, dude. I would have told my brothers this thing like, hey, I saw some weird shit last night. The bathroom's weird. My family would have just been like, this place is fucking weird from first day. Like just walking into the fucking place, my dad would be like, hey, there was a lady in here. Did y'all see the lady? He would have said something. This is fucking insane. Every single one of my family members, including my parents, said that there was something stalking me while we were at the house. Anyway, I'm alive and nothing happened after that. That's related to the Georgia house. Thanks for reading. You're welcome. That was a really entertaining story. That's fucking crazy. Seeing all that shit. My family. I think anybody's family would just be like, yeah, we're not staying here. I'm I'm hitting up customer service for Airbnb or whatever the fuck it was and be like, yeah, this place is haunted. This thing is stalking my daughter. It's 150 degrees in my fucking bedroom. Smells like fucking sulfur. I'm not doing it. It's literally hell in here. Fuck that. Excuse me, sir. Do you have something to say? Nothing? Anything? He's telling you to like and subscribe. This next one's called Ghost Kids, My Biggest Fear. I wonder why it's their biggest fear, but we'll read this and see. Let's see what's going on. I can't say I'm used to seeing or experiencing paranormal activity, but for the most part, I've accepted it. Naturally, I got scared when I saw the apparition or hear something, but for goodness sake, the two times I've seen ghost kids, like, I freeze. Like a little girl giggling in my room is one thing, but to actually see them is a completely different thing. The first ghost kid I saw, I was probably 12 or 13, not sure, but I was in 8th grade. My mom would take my brothers to high school, and I would wait for my aunt to take me and my cousins to the bus stop. I was waiting in the living room scrolling on Instagram on my iPod. This person is really showing their age because back then, iPods were, I don't know if iPods are still made. I don't think iPods are still made. They need to bring them back though. Because if they had like an iPod that you could put like Spotify or Apple Music or anything like that on it, I would buy one so fucking quick. I get tired of using my phone sometimes, and I would just load one for the gym or for when I go on a run. It would be great. But sorry, I was going with, they had touchscreens and stuff, so that's what I'm assuming. It looked like the old like the second or first iPhone or something like that. So yeah, I'm just saying I think it would be cool, or like an iPod Nano. I'm sorry, I'm going on a tangent, but I missed the iPod. I kept seeing movement from the corner of my eye, and every time I looked up, I didn't see anything. But whenever I looked up at my screen, I kept seeing something come out from my brother's room and into the kitchen, and then it would repeat. I finally shot my head up, and oh my god, I really wish I hadn't. I see a girl by the fucking counter just staring at me. Staring might not be the right word. I couldn't see facial features, but the body and face were pointed in my direction. I didn't know what to do. I was home alone. She was just standing there, menacingly. She was just standing there like as if it was my fault for catching her. Finally, I reacted and grabbed the house phone. Yeah, this person's really showing their age because house phones haven't been a thing in years. I think the last time I had a house phone was like when I was a sophomore in high school, so like 2013, 2014. Yeah, my parents just got rid of it. But yeah, I'm pretty sure if you're a younger kid listening to this or watching this, you're like, what the fuck's a house phone? We had landlines and shit connected to the house that went to a phone. I kind of miss those. I don't know. I'm going on a tangent again. That was by me to call my mom. When I looked up, she was gone. A few other family members claim to have seen a girl in the house. So if y'all want to hear their stories, let me know. Well, I mean, I really wish that you would have just told them right now. Second encounter happened 3 years ago when I was 23. So this happened 3 years ago when they were 23. So they're 26. Yeah, they're about like my age. I'm 28. So we're in the same ballpark, buddy. You're a fellow millennial, a Zoomer and millennial or whatever. I went to my then boyfriend's house and I was waiting in his room while he showered. I didn't have the lights on and the room was pretty dark, with only a little light coming from the window. So when I saw something at the corner of the room balled up, ever so slightly, moving side to side, I assumed it was my eyes making something out of the dark. Dude, that sounds fucking scary. Like imagine someone huddled up and they're just like this. Nah, that gave me chills. I don't like thinking about that. Fuck that, dude. That's fucking scary. I decided to get up and turn the lights on because I was just spooking myself. Now tell me why, when I get my ass off the bed, it stood up too. This thing felt challenged. I was like, oh, you want to tussle? Well, god damn, dude. The figure is really small. I know, or I guessed and sensed it was a little boy. It seemed curious about me, and I didn't want to go back, and I didn't want to get any closer, so I sat back down. I was looking for my phone on the bed, so when I looked back up, it was gone. It took me a moment and walked out into the living room. My boyfriend walks out of the restroom and he asks why I'm out there. I tell him to hurry up and dress so we can leave, and once we're outside, I tell him what happened. He casually tells me, oh yeah, my dad and niece have seen him. I was a bit upset he hadn't told me, and after that, I never hung out in there without him, or at least the lights or the TV on. Yeah, fuck that. That's really scary. That's also kind of a dick move. Oh yeah, that's fucking Jeffrey over there, the ghost kids. Don't mind him. That's really insane. But I didn't think it was. I forgot that it had slipped my mind that it was gonna be a kid. But like getting like being balled up and then just like rocking back and forth. That scared the fuck out of me. I had never heard somebody describe a ghost doing some shit like that. But yeah, fuck all that. That doesn't make it any better that they were a ghost kid and it stood right up when she stood up too. That's fucking scary. So yeah, guys, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed. I'll have more content up soon. I'm probably gonna read some more ghost stories. So yeah, just stay tuned for that, and I'll see you in the next one.